It is Friday. Hello, everyone. Futures Brizio here, 11:30 a.m. on Friday, June 26th, 2026. Hope everybody's having a good last working day of the week. Well, working day from the markets, anyways. And make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Any questions, comments, leave them down below, and we'll just jump right in. It's been an interesting day so far. I have several Forex positions that I opened today, and they're all getting killed right now. So, mostly to do with the yen. So, whatever. I'm not ready to cut them yet, but not looking great. So, hey, I'm always honest on when things are working and when things are not. So, we'll get to that in a second, but let's just look at futures for a minute. I'm carrying one futures trade right now that is on soybeans again on a continuation. This was the trade I talked about that I took uh, yesterday and closed out last night at the start of the overnight session. I took this one today. There is a possible setup here in corn too, but I'm just going to probably stick with the soybean one. And that's about it. Actually, this one here in soybean meal looks pretty good too. And maybe get ready on soybean oil, but it's not quite there right now. So, yeah, actually, I'm real kind of hesitant to take this now. But we do have, a momentum shift here on the indicator. So let's do that. We'll take that live right now. Everyone wants to see live trading. We'll put a stop at 303. And I should just leave it at 302.7. Just one contract, and we'll put that on there. Okay, so there we go. We're live on that one too. All right, so that's that. So let's jump down to futures, currency futures, because this is where things start to get a little interesting. So we're seeing again, we're on the 2-hour chart with the 34 period look back CSI, and you can see we had a bullish shift here on the euro, where it kind of let's see, it was on this candle right here. We had the switch over, and you can see it came up to some previous resistance right here, previous acting as support right here. Yeah. So this was previous support, previous resistance, and then we came over to that here, and we kind of have rejected. Now, I'm not willing to. I'm not saying I'm going to throw in the towel yet, even though we are going down since then. And this is kind of the basis for some of my trades in forex. So I do have an alert set here. I did not take any of these trades on the future side, on the currency futures. Again, this is the euro futures. And but if we get a resumption, this thing can pop through these highs, then that would be a definite signal. Probably won't happen today, but it'll be something I keep an eye on next week. And as long as we don't come down here and start taking out like big swing areas like right here, then we'll see if this little momentum shift here on the CSI plays out. I do like these ones where the indicator spreads really far apart. This indicates a strong trend. In this case, we had this downtrend, this kind of where it maxed out, and then all of a sudden everything kind of comes back together. Now, sometimes this turns out to be a continuation trade where they come together. You don't actually get a crossover. They just kind of touch. That's again, it's that magnet theory I talk about. And then they continue on their way, where this blue line continues down and the no, the blue line continues down like it was here, and the purple line continues up like it was doing here. But in this case, we do have a little bit of a crossover. So this is potentially suggesting a bullish crossover. Now, it may not actually play out that way in the end, but that's the way it looks right now. So that's why I've got this alert set right here, and we'll see what happens. But again, that unfortunately probably won't happen today. It's pretty much the same story in the on the British pound futures, which it usually is. Um, we have the same basic crossover following a big down move. So we'll see. Yes, I know you can look at it and see it's still bearish, and you're absolutely right. If we go to a higher time frame, we are still bearish here overall. The market, the order flow from this high is definitely bearish. But again, I'm just going by looking at the indicator. And again, I have another alert set above this high. If this if this can recover, if this is going to continue down, it's probably going to continue down from where it is, right? It reached up. We've had multiple candles here where it's failed to go any higher. So if it's going to continue down now, this is probably the area where it'll roll over and keep going down. But if it's going to go higher, it probably will pop through this area. We'll get a strong bullish candle at some point, and then that will be a signal for me, anyways, to take a long position. So we'll see. Are we approaching that on the Australian dollar? Maybe, but I don't see it yet. This is still bearish as far as I'm concerned, but there's no entry. Same thing on the New Zealand dollar, which those two are pretty much similar, such as the pound and the euro are. This is the Swiss franc. It's very much like the British pound and the euro as well. And so again, I have another alert set above these highs. So we'll see. Again, probably won't happen today. And we've got the yen kind of coming together, but there's no trade here. So we'll see what happens. This is overall very choppy. So, but they're coming together. We'll see what happened. Do we get a crossover, or do we get just a deflection and a continuation of the downtrend? And again, a little bit of a bullish cross on the Canadian dollar. Again, just like all the other ones, I have an alert set above these highs. So we could be looking, more towards having entries on some of these. But again, probably won't happen today, being that it's Friday. But it's something I'll look at. Certainly, I'm going to leave these alerts running on the chart. And we'll see what happens next week when things, get going again on Sunday night and Monday, to see if we get any momentum, or if these are just little flashes in the pan, and we're going to continue the downtrends on all of these. Just having my coffee, guys. A little bit late with the coffee today. It's already 11:30, but then again, I made it like an hour and a half ago. It's just I have this mug that like holds the heat in really well, and it like takes forever for it to cool off. So by the time I get down there, it'll be like time for lunch. So by the time I finish it. So anyway, so that is it for the futures market, and looking at the currency futures as well as grains, and some interesting developments. So we'll see if this all plays out, or again, like I said, are these just like a flash in the pan, probably news driven, and that these downtrends ultimately will continue? Don't know, but we will see what happens as we go forward here over the next one or two sessions. But again, I'm not expecting anything today, just with the time of day. As soon as we get past noontime on Friday, things pretty much go sideways the rest of the day once London closes. So that's that. But like I said, we'll watch it. Okay, so over to Forex. And hold on one second. I got to move a screen over. Give me a sec, guys. One sec. Okay, so over to Forex. This is one of my funded accounts, and you can see I'm getting kind of creamed right now because I'm long against these yen pairs. We saw that the Swiss, the Canadian, the euro all look like they were trying to make some bullish runs. And I jumped into all these, and you can see I'm getting beat up pretty badly. I do have a small profit on the Aussie yen, which is actually I'm short on, which I'm probably going to close that. In fact, I am going to close that one right now. There's just no need to hold that one open either way, because if these all turn out to be bad, then that one's going to go bad too, and I don't want to have four of them sitting there in deep loss. So that looks pretty bad, down about $520. But like I said, we're just going to wait and see. I'm not going to cut these loose. They are against the trend, as we saw. So, I mean, if we look at, let's just say Swiss yen, we'll go back to trading view, look at Swiss yen. So, this kind of looks like the Swiss currency pair. I mean, the Swiss futures, right? So we have a little bit of a bullish deflection right here, a bullish crossover. It did run up to this previous resistance level and has pulled back on this candle, which that's when I got in. And, you can see I got in here, and then we had this bearish candle the last 2 hours, and now we have this new one, which started at 11 o'clock right there. And that one is, trying to come higher again. So we'll see what happens. Again, this is overall bearish order flow on the way down here. But you can see we started putting in some, higher lows and higher highs here, little by little, right here, higher low, maybe higher low. And so that kind of broke this downside momentum. And then we did have the shift in the indicator where, the excuse me, remember, this line is the DXY, so we're really looking. No, excuse me. This purple line is the DXY, is the dollar index, which is what we measure it against. And this line is the Swiss currency, and you can see after going down, it's been trying to go higher again. And so we're going to kind of see that in all of these. Um, so let's go to like euro yen. That's another one I'm holding. Same exact thing here. We had this push through on this big candle, and then we had this big bearish rejection off of this resistance level here, and now we're trying to form a bottom right here. So let's see, if we come down here and take out this swing low right here, which is pretty far away. But I mean, if this comes down, towards this level, then that would, I think I'd be stopped out before that anyways. But for sure, any break below this low, if I wasn't, I would exit it. I probably would exit it before that because that would just be a crazy loss I wouldn't want to take. It just wouldn't be worth holding it. So I'm going to watch this area very closely right now, where we are right now in here after this big, bearish candle down. Is this just like a little dead cat bounce and we roll over and keep going down, or are the buyers gonna try to come in here somewhere in this area, somewhere in here? I might let it go even as, below here, um, because, this was kind of the origin of this bullish candle right in here. Or, we're going to just, like I said, continue the down move. So we'll see what happens with that. That's pretty much the scenario with all these trades. So it's painful to look at right now. CAD yen, I think, is another one. Looks the same way. We do have a bullish crossover on the indicator. Kind of ran up to some resistance. And again, we had this rejection candle right here 2 hours ago. And now we're trying to form a new bottom. And again, if this comes down and takes out all of this commotion right here, where this little base tried to form, anything below here, I probably would cut this loose. But I'm going to let it run. I think my stops are actually sitting way lower. I wanted to give it a little breathing room. But before the market closes today, I probably will move my stop losses up to maybe 10 pips below these lows. I want to give it a little breathing room in case we get like a liquidity gap on Sunday. But so I'll probably go a little bit below here, but move my stop from down here to maybe, maybe up around, maybe like around this area, 113.80 or so on this pair. And so that's what I'm thinking. And again, I'm just trusting my system. And if it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out. But I do have a lot of risk on the table, so we'll see. I don't want to breach the account because of this, so I'm going to make sure that if these turn out to not be good, then I cut them early. So I'm just going to let them run today. I don't expect to see a lot more change in these. Again, given that it's Friday and we're heading towards the London close in 20 minutes, we may just see kind of things to start going sideways the rest of the day. And if that's the case, then like I said, I'll move my stop losses into a better place, and then I'll just leave them for the weekend and just see what happens when we reopen Sunday and Monday. Okay. So outside of that, there's really not much else in terms of Forex trades outside of those that I took. Everything else is not really giving me any kind of signal right now. So I'm not going to sit here and go through all the pairs. I just want to kind of give you an update at where we're at. And again, I'm using the 34 CSI on the 2-hour chart. And again, you can use this on any time. I could use the 1 hour, the 4 hour, the 12 hour, the daily, the weekly, whatever. You can use this. And the 34 is a Fibonacci number. Don't know if that means anything, but I'm not a big Fibonacci fan, but I do sometimes like the levels that Fibonacci's line up to. I don't draw fib levels on my chart. I don't think you guys have ever seen me really do that. But in terms of just where to put settings on some of these indicators, I do find that it to be valuable. And so I was testing out the 89 level for a while, which I made a couple of videos on the last couple of weeks. I've kind of walked away from that. Although it is a nice smooth level, it doesn't generate a lot of signals, but the entries that it delivers are just too delayed. And so I've kind of walked away from that. So the 34 to 50 seems to be a better spot. Even the 50, 55 level can be a little bit late on some entries, especially on longer time frames. It's not so critical on short time frames because there's enough candles painting where if you miss the initial entry, it can still be a good trade. So I'm just playing around with it. Again, I never settle on one thing in terms of these look back, but what I do settle on is using the CSI indicator in my trading, along with market structure and along with higher time frame trends, and kind of looking at levels, so I know when I should be uh, potentially taking a trade and when I should not. Again, all I do with the higher time frame, daily, weekly chart is if I'm going to take a long position, I'm going to go out to the higher time frame. I'm going to say, make sure that I'm not trading into a major level on the daily chart or the weekly chart, like a major, they jump out at you where price is clearly rejected from before. I don't want to be buying into that level. Same thing on a sell. I'm going to go out to the higher time frame. I'm going to make sure there isn't a major swing low or support area where price is rejected, whether it's recently one time or multiple times in the past. Um, it doesn't mean it won't blast through that area next time, but there's a very good chance it will bounce, and I don't want to be selling into a major support or a major swing low off the higher time frame, because those are the ones that the institutions and the larger big traders are following, because they're not trading on shorter time frames anyways. They're taking positions and holding them. So but those are the areas that they're going to target for liquidity, and I don't want to be part of that, so I will get out, or just not take the trade if it looks like, as soon as I get in, I'm going to hit one of those areas. All right, so that's really my only criteria. What's the overall market flow and the market structure? Is the indicator giving me an entry? And what's the higher time frame telling me in terms of levels? And as long as I got some headroom or some floor room, then I'll take the trade, and I will monitor those higher time frame levels for potential areas to manage the trade or take profits from, if the trade goes in my favor. So that's all I'm doing. So um, yeah. So, yeah, so that's it, guys. I just wanted to point that out, do a quick review of where we're at right now. I'm not going to belabor this video. I'll keep you posted on these trades. If I end up cutting them for losses, or if I end up keeping them and they turn around, great. If not, then that's fine too. Um, I will, like I said, if I hold on to them for the rest of today, I will adjust my stop losses to a more reasonable level, because they're all pretty far away right now. They're kind of like worst case stop losses, but I don't want them to get that far. I very rarely let my trades run to stop loss. I'll cut them before that. The stop losses for me are really just there for a last resort in case it happens when I'm not on the chart and some big, event or news release comes out where it just slams in the direction against me, and I don't want, that's what the stop loss is for. But in terms of just managing the trade and deciding whether I want to hold it or not, uh, I usually will manually close my trades when I feel like it's not. I just don't feel it anymore. It's a little bit of an intuition that goes into it. But the stop loss is there just as like a back, a last resort backstop, but not necessarily to let it get to that point. So hopefully that makes sense. All right, guys. So I will leave it there. I hope everybody has a great weekend. I'll keep you posted on these trades. Maybe Sunday night I'll jump back in here after the market opens, and we'll see what's happening. If not, I'll be around on Monday. Um, I'm taking off again on Wednesday of next week for another week. I'll be back up north. I think I mentioned that to you guys when I did my walking video about 3 days ago. When I was up there, I'm back home for a week, but I'm heading back up there on Wednesday. So Monday, Tuesday, I'll be around videos and updates, and then after Wednesday, I'll be gone for another week. We'll also be heading into the Independence Day holiday in the US. So the markets will be pretty quiet after probably after Wednesday, Thursday of next week. Anyways, things will really quiet down until after the 4th, until the following week. So won't really be much to do. The markets will be open, but limited hours and probably not a lot of volatility because a lot of people will be on vacation. A lot of your big traders will be away, especially those in the US. And so that will make things a little quiet during the North American session anyway. So I'll be back over the weekend or early next week, and we'll go from there. Any questions, comments, leave them down below. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Hope you have a great weekend, and I'll talk to everybody soon.